Good morning, evening, Ashley. Oh, something's coming through. Good morning, evening, Ashley. Oh, something's coming through. We need to do evening. That one. Whoops, that was a bit of a fail. So yeah, I left the Twitch stream on. Awesome, talented all the way. So, welcome back to Carter's Corner Daily. I'm your host, Travis Carter. We've got a big show today because there were a lot of press releases come out. So there's a few interesting ones, a few that are just fluff. But it's going to be probably a bit slightly longer show, but we'll see how we go. Generally, a lot of the press releases come out very early. One of these ones came out 5 o'clock this morning. They're normally done about 12 o'clock. But for some reason, there was 3 press releases come out after 3 p.m. yesterday, and a whole heap in the morning. Still haven't had a call back from Christian Porter's office in regards to his comments being left off these press releases, which is going to be interesting. So I'm going to continue to follow up with them and find out what is going on. Here we go. So the first one we're going to be looking at, so straight into it, let's have a look at what we got here. Right, this one, boom. Okay, so this is the Honourable Bill Johnson, MLA, Minister for Energy. This one came out last night. Excuse me. It's one of the ones that came out after 3 p.m. So we have West Australia's biggest wind farm officially open. So Minister Johnson opens a $450 million Yandin wind farm in the Wheatbelt region. The 214 megawatt wind farm can power 200,000 homes a year. Energy Minister Bill Johnson today officially opened the Yandin wind farm, a joint venture between Alinta Energy and RATCH Australia, RATCH Australia, located on Ude lands near Dangaragan, 175 kilometres north of Perth. The site was chosen for its abundant local wind resources and its proximity to the grid. The $450 million Yandin wind farm consists of 51 Vestas turbines, which each blade tip rising at a height of 180 metres. The turbine rotor diameter is 150 metres, which is larger than the London Eye observation wheel at 120 metre diameter. So these fans are massive. They're huge. $450 million for 51 fans. That's a lot of money. Let's have a look here. At full power, the Yandin wind farm can generate enough renewable energy to supply the equivalent of about 200 Western Australian homes, or over 1 gigawatts of capacity. We'll get to that in a minute. The Southwest Interconnected System, our main electrical grid, now has around 1.6 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, including wind farms and rooftop solar systems. Okay, now, before we get into comments from the minister, have you noticed how they have conveniently left out how often these things will be running because the wind will be blowing? So, my understanding is they get roughly 3 to 6 months a year supply of these things. I don't know if there's actually been any studies into the actual amount of constant, reliable energy that these things can generate. The biggest problem is, let's say they are running at full capacity. So they're generating 1 gigawatts of power, sending it down the lines to the grids to the houses. Fantastic. When that's in a surplus and there's excessive power, the biggest problem with a lot of these renewables, A, sometimes the wind doesn't blow. B, sometimes the sun doesn't shine for the solar power. That's why alternatives like hydrogen power, hydropower, which is the waves in the ocean. There is always waves in the ocean. The current is always moving. There's always some form of movement in the ocean. It never ever stops. So having these sources of energy can be used as a more reliable source of renewable power. These wind farms are not reliable. They don't have the ability to make a constant energy which we can use as for base load. Which let's say if everyone's asleep, how much power is the system drawing just by being on? So baseload power, if you can't even produce that on renewables, you shouldn't even be looking at it, because there's a lot of things that are very important that need to be powered 24 hours a day. Take things, for example, our hospital systems, government buildings, defense systems. Renewable power just isn't reliable enough. The other problem is with the size of one of these windmills, especially with the dramas with China at the moment. Let's pretend that renewables take up 50% of our power generated. They become a very, very easy target for bombing runs, and the damage caused to this could be astronomically bad. So it just, to have such a push for something that's not secure, not stable, I find it amazing that we're spending nearly $500 million on something that is sort of like a science experiment. Yeah, I know Tesla's and the guy who created the lithium battery have a new battery coming out, which will make these things a hell of a lot more reliable. They'll make the ability to store the power generated from a wind turbine a lot easier to access reliably, can maintain that baseload power. But until that becomes a reality, yeah, I like the idea because it generates jobs. The other problem you got to look at, the oil in these things to keep them turning, like the lubricant for the mechanical parts on the inside, is extremely toxic. It is very, very bad. Most of the parts on wind farms are not recyclable. So when they get to the point where they need to be replaced or repaired, they're just going straight into landfill. So then the environmental benefits of this are questionable. Now, also, let's say, for example, the turbines are spinning. Migratory birds are a very, very common occurrence in Australia. These things have a rotor diameter of 150 meters. Can you imagine how many birds and animals, especially migratory birds, are going to die to these things? So for the environmental impact, I think you'll find these are actually not that good. I think there's a lot better options for energy generation. I think this is a bit of a very expensive vote getting exercise to try and get some of the environmentalist votes. I don't think it's a very, very smart thing. And I'd love to see, is there a link between this Ratch Australia and the Labor Party? It seems to me that a lot of these tenders for these big construction projects, they always seem to have some sort of link to people in power. Anyway, getting on with it. Comments attributed to the Energy Minister, Bill Johnson. Congratulations to Alinta Energy, Ratch Australia, and the Dandarangan community on the launch of the Yandin Wind Farm, Western Australia's largest renewable energy facility. With the many challenges faced around COVID-19, it was fantastic to see the project completed, which reflects the hard work and dedication of everyone involved in the project. Projects such as the Yandin Wind Farm illustrates the great potential we have in Western Australia to take advantage of the worldwide transition to clean energy technologies. Michael Moore just did a YouTube video. It's like an hour and a half or something, and he absolutely rips the clean energy technologies industry apart. Now, this is Michael Moore. He's a hardcore lefty, and he is calling bullshit on the clean energy. So technology wise, we're just not there yet. I think we still need to develop it, but we need to make it reliable, and it's not reliable, it's not cheap, it's extremely expensive, and it needs more funding into research rather than the construction side of things, because it's just too early in this one. All right. Around 150 local jobs were created during the construction, which took almost 1 million hours and created valuable opportunities for businesses in the wheat belt. I always love development outside of outside of Perth. I think that's one of the failings of Melbourne and Sydney. There's too much of a focus on the CBD. Having a greater emphasis in the regional areas outside of the Perth CBD, I think, is a phenomenal thing, and we need to do more of it. The McGowan government is committed to improving energy affordability and creating a cleaner, greener energy system for Western Australia. So there's a bit of an oxymoron in that comment. Committed to improving energy affordability by using greener energy systems for West Australians. So they've proven it time and time again that clean energy, aka renewables, wind turbine, gas, and all that, is not affordable. It is not cheap. It may be even cleaner is questionable now. More and more information is coming out about how non-clean this is. Prime example. Okay, so solar panels. Everyone goes, "Oh, it's made of sand. It's made of sand." No, it's not. It's actually made of quartz. They take the quartz and they do something with coal, and they merge them. The coal takes something out or put something into the quartz, and that's how you make your solar panels. The glass that goes over the top. It's not actually. They don't use sand, so. It's not like you just go out to the Simpson Desert, go dig up a heap of sand and make solar panels out of it. It doesn't work. You need to use quartz. The sand in deserts and in the ground, there's too many impurities, so they just don't use it. So they do use quartz. Okay, so we must continue to develop new renewable energy technologies to reduce energy costs and to meet our commitments to net zero emissions by 2050. You know that by 2050, I don't mind that. That's giving us enough time to develop the technologies to be able to get there. Yeah, spending all this money for temporary or minor boosts, I think that the money here would have been much better off spent in, for example, developing a better storage system for the power, building more dams. One of the things I've really, really liked, and I've seen a few farms do this, so they've got their own little dam down on one of the hills somewhere, and they've got a heap of storage tanks. And so what they do, they use solar panels to pump water from the dam up into the water tanks. So it's high. You've got what do they call it? Mechanical advantage in the water tanks. So when they hit the dry season, or if they've got a blackout, they can use the stored energy in the water tanks to power the pump system and the irrigation. So Hoover Dam works on the same principles. So it stores a whole heap of water, so whenever they need it, they just flick a switch, release some water, and powers turbines, and that's how they get their energy. I think we need a lot more dams in Australia. I think we need to use renewable energy supplies like wind turbines and solar panels to get water from one location up into these dams to make sure the dam levels stay sufficiently high. And then what happens when we need the water later? Because you've got that mechanical advantage, you can use that anytime, turn on switch, power a water-powered turbine, and there's your base load. And the other cool thing is by doing that, you can actually store the water for drought times. You can drought-proof your farms. There's a lot of more stuff that you can do with this. So preserving the access to water is very, very important as well. So I think there's a lot better methods to doing things like this. Now, the other thing that this can really, really help with, by having larger bodies of water, the water evaporates and water generates clouds to create more rain. So by having these stored masses of water within the things, you start to encourage the water cycle. So what I mean by the water cycle is rain, water forms a lake or a river that evaporates or gets brought up by the trees. The trees then evaporate the water and it generates more rain. By not maintaining this water into the environment to be used by the plants and animals, you're reducing that cycle of water, and I think that has a much greater impact on rainfall. Because you have a look at places like down south where the Karri forests are, their an average rainfall is like 1,200 mils a year, where you look at Perth, we're looking 400 to 600 a year. And it's purely because they've got way more plants than us. They've got way more trees, way more animals. So preserving a lot more of this water and getting a lot more vegetation, I think that's going to solve a lot of our reliable rain. Anyway, that's just my ramblings. Don't worry about me. I'm just an uneducated white dude. So anyway, so that's one that came through last night. I am going to quickly skim through some of these because there is a lot. Now, another one that came out which I'm very, very excited about. It's a joint press release for federal and state. Here we go. Okay, so this is from the Honourable David Littleproud, MP, Minister for Agriculture, Drought and Emergency Management, Deputy Leader of the Nationals. To be honest with you, I don't think he's actually, especially over east, he hasn't done much. The Murray-Darling Basin work that he was supposed to do, he I don't want to say the F word, but he seriously messed that up. And also the Honourable Reece Whitby, Western Australian Minister for Emergency Services. So this is in regards to the cyclone. So for those who don't know, there was a big cyclone came through. This cyclone went the southest that any cyclone have gone in recorded history. So normally they don't stop around the Onslow area. This one went all the way through down to Kalbarri and Geraldton, which is about 4.5 hours north of Perth. So further assistance has been activated under the disaster recovery funding arrangement for the first time in Western Australia following the impact of severe tropical cyclone Saroja. The Commonwealth State Disaster Recovery Funding Agreement had already been activated in the immediate response to severe tropical cyclone Saroja, but the inclusion of Category C and Category D measures further enhances the level of assistance available to the impacted communities. Now, this cyclone did a world of damage. So, Kalbarri it's a very large touristy destination in WA. Population maybe about 20,000 people. So it's not a small town. It's a fair sized town. And then if you add all the local regional things, it's the hotel accommodations. I've read a report that 70% of houses were damaged to the point where it was questionable whether you could live in them or not. A lot of houses lost their roofs. You got to remember, because we're so far south, we're actually out of the tropics. So none of the houses in this area are actually built to cyclone standards. So, for example, if you've got a tile roof in a cyclone house, they've got clips on every single tile that holds it down during a storm. On top of that, they've got nails and all other fastening things. In the Perth regions, every second tile gets a nail, and that's it. It's the weight of the tiles and the roof that keeps the roof on. So a lot of these houses were not built to deal with cyclones. A lot of the fibro houses actually did a lot better than the modern brick and tile houses. So there was a lot of damage. The expanded levels of assistance will fund the cleanup program and community recovery support package for 13 local governments affected by the devastating cyclone. The cost covered on a 50-50 basis by the Australian and West Australian government. The state government is working directly with the impacted local governments in consultation with the Australian government and the Insurance Council of Australia. Now, message to the insurance people. I've dealt with AMP before. They've screwed me over a few times. I've dealt with RAC. They've screwed us over a few times as well. Don't be a dick. I'm sorry about swearing, but just don't be a dick. Just pay the people who are insured their money, get it done, get them back into the house. Don't be un-Australian. Okay? Just help them out. Do it. This is a major thing, and my understanding is at times of emergency, the insurance council, like the insurance companies, are actually indemnified by the government. So it's actually, my understanding is the government actually pays the insurance companies to pay out these claims. So don't be an asshole over this. Just pay the claims and deal with it later. To ensure a targeted cleanup program is established. In addition to this cleanup support, 5 community recovery officers will be employed over 2 years to work across the impacted local government areas and support the long-term recovery of these communities. Some of these smaller towns that got hit, you got to remember, power lines are down, roads are destroyed. The level of destruction is pretty phenomenal. Minister for Energy and Management David Littleproud said the program would support affected communities, including small business owners and primary producers. That's really important because it's the wheat field. Quite a few farmers lost their crops. The program will include cleanup and restoration activities for the community, recreational, cultural, heritage, and environmental assets. Minister Littleproud said community recovery officers will establish a local presence and work with local governments and non-for-profit organisations to provide community recovery support that is tailored and meaningful. That's actually quite important as well, because not every situation is the same. Every case should be treated on its merit. So good work from Littleproud. Let's have a look at the Western Australian Minister for Emergency Services, Rhys Whitby, said the expansion of disaster recovery assistance reflected the devastating impact of severe tropical cyclone Saroja across the Midwest. Severe tropical cyclone Saroja will be remembered as one of the worst cyclones to hit Western Australia, impacting an area of over 130,000 square kilometres in size, and the state government is committing to providing the highest level of support possible to those affected communities, Mr. Whitby said. While it is incredibly fortunate that no lives were lost, that is really good news, because I knew someone got electrocuted and I wasn't sure if they died or not, so I'm really glad that shows they survived. The destructive winds associated with Saroja damaged more than 1,100 buildings and caused widespread devastation across agricultural land. The state government said from the onset that we would do everything we could to support these communities get back on their feet, and the commitment for further assistance demonstrates that we're in this for the long haul. I hate to say this, I'm not called bullshit on you here, Minister Whitby. You had heaps of notice this cyclone was coming in. You knew it was going to be bad. We originally, one of the forecasts when it first came through, I kept a very close eye on this because we do actually have a set of units up there. Good news is only a tree got blown over, no damage. So we got out really lucky. You knew this was coming. Some of the early modelling said it could have gone south of Geraldton. That would have been a totally different thing. We pretty much got the dregs in Geraldton of the cyclone. We didn't get the full force. Kalbarri got absolutely smashed straight over the top. Again, there was so little communication coming from the Emergency Services Department and Rhys Whitby's office about how to deal with the cyclone, how to protect your house, how to do everything, and how to behave during the cyclone. The fact that no one died in this cyclone, I find is amazing. I think that's due to luck, not good management. And I think Rhys Whitby really failed in his first real emergency. It's good that the federal government is stepping in and helping out, but this is a failure from Rhys. Sorry, but it was. Okay, information on disaster assistance is available at the Australian Government's disaster assistance website at disasterassist.gov.au. I thought it was saying something else, but anyway. Go to that website if you have suffered any damages from the cyclone and you need help. Make sure you get in there, because it looks like the federal government, at least, is looking to support these guys. I think the state government is looking to try and recover from a failed cyclone. But anyway, that was the other big one that came through. Now, I am going to just pull up a few more. Where was it? Oh, no, I have to go back into it. So, and there was another one from the Water Minister. They're just talking about planting a heap of trees, so I won't go into that one much because it doesn't. Planting trees. I've got too much time, too many press releases. There's like 8 or 9 of them that have come out today, so we won't be able to do that. Now, another one that's come out today. Why are you not showing? Come on. I have to close this one and bring it back up. And open. For some reason, this is not. I want to pull that one. There it is. Okay, now it's working. Just had to close the window and redo it. Sort the zoom out. Okay. Hit this one. Boom. Okay, so this one is actually a message from Martin Gowan. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm kind of on the fence, and I think that's partly because of my opinion towards Martin Gowan. Oh, we've got people actually talking to us. Here we go. The Big Gibbon. Thank you for coming to the stream. I think you are right. Showcasing their green credentials is incredibly expensive. Water security is imperative, Mr. Littleproud. Water security is extremely important Um, Especially in Australia, we have bugger all water. We need to do more about it. So they have given us a link here. It looks like it is a ABC story, News Rural 2019. Yes, I've actually read that article. It's about all the people that own water assets in Australia. It's actually a very, very interesting read. So the big Gibbon, thank you for sending that through for us. So I'll quickly get into this one about India. So WA supports India and neighbouring countries amidst COVID crisis. So the state government provides aid packages to India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Packages include medical items urgently sought to help with COVID situations, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to manage distribution. So what I'm curious about these packages that they're sending over, is this all the surplus stuff that we had that we're no longer using? Because I wouldn't mind if we're not using it, why keep it? Yeah, give it to the people who need it. But if it's something that we may need in the near future, I'm a little bit, I'm not sure. The McGowan government is sending an urgent COVID-19 aid package to India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. The COVID-19 package comprises of 18 ventilators and PPE, including approximately 10 million masks, more than 419,000 gloves, and more than 3,100 coveralls. The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade managing the aid arrangement will facilitate the distribution of donated items from state and territories to these countries that have sought assistance from the Commonwealth. You know what? The more I read about this, the more I like it. I knew it was worth about $2 million. This is in addition to, here we go, yeah. This is in addition to the $2 million relief funding program to help India through its second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, so the World Health Organization gets paid insane amounts of money from all these different countries. We're struggling already. It is as it is. We're massively in debt. We're paying billions of dollars of interest. This I'm talking federally here. For just in interest alone to cover our debt because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And now we're sending more money rather than helping the people who are out of work, the people who have lost loved ones, people who are stuck in limbo over in Indonesia, over in India. There's people in all these different countries who can't get home because our borders are shut to to Australians. And now, rather than helping out these guys, we're sending money to India. Like, I get it, India's got it bad, but when you have a look at the percentage per population, and then you have a look, I think they were saying that they had about 2,000 people dying a day due to COVID. If you have a look at 2018 stats for the amount of people dying of starvation per day, I think it was about 4,000 people are dying from starvation per day. But yet you're not declaring an emergency for that. You know, so to me, this just shows that the government's got their objective, that they're not objectives, what they consider important isn't really that important. If you want to send aid to India, if you want to, like, sending the equipment, like the ventilators, the PPE equipment, all that sort of stuff, I think that's phenomenal. All the stuff in regards to other stuff, like sending the money over, like the actual hard cash, I think you'd be better off trying to assist India in finding ways to feed all their starving populations. The difference between the rich in India to the slums is insane. It's really, really bad. Helping the people who actually live in the slums get a better quality of life. I think if you find that if you increased their sanitation over there, their food levels, things like that, I think you'll find the death rate of COVID will be astronomically less than what it is now. I think the food and just general sanitation is a bigger pressing issue than what the COVID-19 is over there. How many people would be dying to things such as diarrhea, pre-COVID I'm talking about, so 2018, 2017, dying to diarrhea, the flu, measles, mumps, rubella, all these diseases that we've now killed and got rid of in Australia. Do a lot of these people in the slums actually have clean drinking water? Like simple things that we take for granted over here, a lot of these places, even though you could argue where they're third world countries, they don't have simple things like drinking water. So I think our our goals and objectives for the WA government here is a little bit skew with. Here we go. The recently announced Indian COVID-19 crisis relief funding program provides grants between 100,000 to 500,000 to local Indian community organizations who are already working with partners to provide on-ground support in India. Western Australian Indian organisations are already providing support through provisions and installation of oxygen concentrators in hospitals and sourcing and provisions of ventilators, grants to those vulnerable and disadvantaged members of the Indian society. Like, again, I like that we're trying to help our neighbours out, because you got to be honest, they're just north of Indonesia. India's not that far. We've got a very, very large Indian population in WA. So I like the fact that we are helping our neighbours, but yeah, I think the money could be better spent elsewhere. I think there would be a lot better results. Again, if general health, food, water, I think if you can fix those three things, I think you'd go a lot longer to helping people in India. Especially if you start looking at, like, this guy said, I saw a quote on social media. He was talking about the white privileges. I hope this doesn't get me banned, but they were talking about white privileges and how privileged we are in Western Australia. And then he turned around and did a comparison. The ability to self-isolate is considered a privilege just to have a home. The privilege to be able to wash your hands regularly and use sanitizer is a privilege if you can afford food. And he had all these comparisons to third world countries and people living in the slums over in India. They can't do the best things to prevent the spread of COVID-19 because A, they don't have the space, they don't have the sanitation products, sorry, and that a lot of the people there, you've got in a single room, you've got 10 people living in the one room, like squashed together. So the things that you normally do to save people, they just can't do. So, and again, that's why I'm thinking better food, better hygiene, better water would be a much better thing to do for India. Now, the other thing that you really need to also look at is COVID extremely bad because of how dense the population in India is. You have a look at the population is massive to a place that's smaller than Australia. So is it time to start? I'm not talking about going out and wiping people out, but maybe start looking at how Japan did it. So in Japan, if you have one child, the government pays for everything. If you have another one, you go pay for the second child yourself. Starting to assist families having less children to slowly and humanely reduce the population as a whole might be required. And I think that's one of the reasons why WA was so good, is our population is so spread out. So anyway, the situation in India and neighbouring countries is devastating. I think the starvation is a lot more devastating than COVID-19. That this aid package includes items which are above and beyond what is required in Western Australia and should we face an outbreak. So that's good. Sending our surplus stock, I actually support that a lot. Sending extra money, I'm not a big fan of that. As these supplies are in surplus in WA's needs, we are in a position to help India, Nepal and Sri Lanka, which urgently needs this medical equipment to combat COVID-19 right now. On behalf of West Australians, I want to send them our thoughts and deeper sympathies to everyone who has been affected by the current situation. We are thinking of you at this time. We have, as we have seen with other countries across the world that have been through several waves of this pandemic, we hope India, Nepal and Sri Lanka can clamp down on the virus soon. Yep, you can still see that one. So again, thoughts and deeper sympathies don't do anything. Like, action is what's needed, and directed action, beneficial action, and just spending $2 million, drop in the ocean, like such a small amount, especially for a country like India. Their GDP is, because they've got such a large population, their GDP is huge. But yeah, I think the equipment we're sending over, yeah, brilliant, well done. The money we're sending over, I think that's kind of stupid. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. Now, this one, moving on to the next one. We've got like 6 press releases to go yet. So we've got a quick one here. I'll just run through the summary on it. That one is, yep, that's the one. Come on, zoom in. Are we zooming in? No, we're not, because I got the wrong one up. No, I definitely got the wrong one up. Hang on for a moment. Here it is. I can zoom in and turn on. Alright, for some reason it does not want to zoom in. That's fine, we'll get sorted. Okay, so new skills summit to strengthen Western Australia's task force. So the McGowan government is holding a skills summit with Western Australia's industry leaders, skilled workers, critical to keep supporting Western Australian economy, and fast-track programs for aspiring tradies also announced to help boost jobs and skills. All right, let's have a look here. The McGowan Labor government has today announced a new initiative to maintain Western Australia's strong economy, growth, and workers. Let's go down to the details. Okay, it is the latest of a number of McGowan. Just pull that up a bit. WA TAFEs will assess the skills of applicants to confirm suitability to the program. It is the latest in a number of McGowan government's measures ensuring Western Australia has a pipeline of skilled workers, including. So I really like this. Like we need to train our youth, because then they can get their own jobs, they can be self-sustainable, and they can feel proud of their trades. And I hate to say it, a lot of the time tradies actually earn more money than people with university degrees. So low fees, local skills. So slashed TAFE fees by up to 72% on 180 different courses. A record $167.4 million investment in upgrades to TAFE infrastructure across the 5 Western Australian TAFE colleges as part of the WA recovery plan. Introduce free TAFE short courses to upskill thousands of Western Australians, and $4.8 million for the apprenticeship and training re-engagement initiative, providing financial support to employers who take on displaced apprentice or trainees. So this I find really, really, really good. Like that, as much as I don't like Mark McGowan, his focus on training our youth has been good. God, it pains me to say that, but he has, even pre-COVID, he has had a very, very strong focus on education, which is good, and training. So he's just talking a little bit about post-COVID recovery. Now, comments from Sue Ellery, which is the training minister, education and training minister. As a state government, we want to be proactive in ensuring we have enough skilled workers in the state so we can continue to advance our world-leading economy. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided us with many challenges, and this skills summit will help us better understand how we can produce enough skilled workers to meet increasing industry demand. Initiatives like this and the Accelerated Apprenticeship Program show we are committed to making sure the WA workforce can keep the state moving forward. Now, my question is this in direct conflict with some of the policies that Albanese is pushing through on the federal side of things in and around immigration? Because a lot of the workforce, they're claiming they're skilled migrants and getting them in under the old 457 visa process. So is this going to hurt the federal government? Because if we're training all our younger people, we don't need to bring in skilled workers from other countries. So that's something interesting. So yeah, this, unfortunately, I have to support this. I think this is great. I don't like Mark McGowan, but I support anything that trains our youth and long-term unemployed to get job, get work, and become more self-reliant. So yeah, and I'm going to have to quickly wrap this one up because we are running out of time. There was one more here which I haven't read yet. The rest weren't really much. So I won't bring them up because it's just about awards and different things happening and stuff like that. So what have I got? I don't know why, but it's deciding not to zoom in on press release. Let's try this again. Still doesn't want to zoom in. No. Anyway, it is what it is. Okay, and turn on. Boom. So this one is from the Honourable Tony Booty, MLA Minister for Lands, and the Honourable Alana Matianen, MLC Minister for Regional Development. New job creating opportunities at Peel Business Park Stage 2. Expressions of interest now open for Stage 2 at the 1,000 hectare Peel Business Park in Nambilla. Okay, early applicants for Stage 2 at the innovative industrial estate can tailor lot sizes and shape to suit unique business needs, and key regional precinct offers ideal opportunities for technology-driven agri-food and agri-processing operators, as well as ancillary light, general transport and support industries. So again, this is encouraging more production and manufacturing in WA. I can never fault that. And I would love to see more support on the federal side of things. I'd love to see Australia leave the Lima Declaration. We need to be self-sufficient. We need to produce in WA. We need to be more self-reliant. Taz is in. Let's have a look here. Would it cost more to fix water, food, and sanitation than to send packs over? It probably would. I wouldn't be giving the money, especially going back to the India side of things. I'd be sending tradies over. I'd be sending skilled migrants over. I'd be sending people to help them build the infrastructure and making sure that the Australian government has a direct influence on it. Unfortunately, I have no faith in any of the world governments. I can see that there's going to be worlds of corruption, and that's why I'm not a big fan of sending money in the form of foreign aid. Let's say a country says, "Oh, we're coming out of civil war. We need help rebuilding the country. Please send us, $10 billion, whatever." Rather than sending them $10 billion of hard cash, which will probably go in the boss's pocket, I think there's a lot better things to go, right, here's a company, here's the workers, here's the construction things, send over auditors, make sure everything's done correctly, and trying to reduce as much corruption as possible and make sure as much gets done for the people as possible. So I think the corruption is a very, very bad thing. Yes, it does pain me to be positive and mark down, especially after the amendments that he slammed through for the Mineralogy Act and the amendments that he forced through for the Domestic Violence Act because of COVID-19, and also the Residential Tenancy Act that he did. So for people who don't know, he's actually backdated some legislation which starts denying people their rights, such as Clive Palmer. He's lost his right to fair justice. Landlords have lost their rights to evict their tenants during COVID-19 outbreaks. But the thing is, I don't mind that, but he backdated it. So people who were already through the process were no longer allowed to do that, which is a very, very bad thing. So Taz, thanks for coming on. Also, don't forget to check your, for those who enjoy gaming, Taz is a Inferno Insomnia. She does a lot of streaming for gaming. Quite entertaining. Okay, let's get back into this one because I've got to get the kids from school soon. Businesses in the fast-growing Peel region are being offered the opportunity to set their own footprint in the Peel Business Park in Nambilla, with expressions of interest now being sought from industries for Stage 2 of the business park. Located just 10 kilometres Northeast of Mandurah at the gateway to the Southwest Agricultural Region, Peel Business Park is part of the state government's Transform Peel initiative designed to create new industry and jobs, encouraging enterprise and providing sustainable sources of food and water in the region as the population grows. For a while there, Mandurah was actually one of the fastest growing cities in the world, or second fastest. I think California was beating it. The first 120 hectares of Peel Business Park have been developed by Development WA Industrial Lands Authority, ILA. Stage 1 of the park is now complete following the investment of more than $20 million in major infrastructure extension works. Once operational, occupants in Stage 1 are expected to deliver more than 250 ongoing jobs and can contribute $73 million to the local economy each year. So this is things, it just shows that production and manufacturing things has an ongoing benefit to the economy. If you dig some ore out of the ground and you send it overseas, it's gone. That ongoing benefit no longer exists. So by manufacturing something that's renewable, especially in the side of food, like if you're constantly growing, say, wheat, barley, alcohol, beers, whatever, it's something that you can constantly produce and sell. That's why our wine industry was so important for a long time. And that's why when China banned the imports of Australian wines, it's had such a massive impact. Where were we? Development WA is now engaging with industry on stage 2, with businesses quick to register their interest, able to tailor a lot to suit individual requirements. That's really important, because finding a store or a location that will meet your requirements is hard, and that is a problem a lot of businesses face. So if you're able to go, right, I need an L-shaped block, or I need this shaped block, or I need this, I need that, if they can build it to meet your requirements, your business is more likely to be successful, I feel. All right, moving on. The next stage will follow a series of significant milestones achieved at Peel Business Park over the past 6 months, including the opening of the Department of Fire and Emergency Services $18 million purpose-built bushfire centre of excellence. Again, that's always good. You don't want a bushfire in WA; it's just never good. The Centre of Excellence, an Australian first, provides a location for learning based on the best academic, scientific, and traditional Aboriginal land management practices. I have to say, yeah, you need to listen to the Aboriginals when it comes to land management. They know what they're doing. Their method of prescribed burning versus what the New South Wales government has done, yeah, just chalk and cheese. They smash it. They know what they're doing. Reports us they've been doing it for like 60 to 80,000 years. When someone's got that much experience, just let them do it. Don't interfere, just let them do it. Also, as part of Stage 1 at the park, Australia's first renewable energy industrial microgrid delivered by Peel Regional Renewable Energy, which is expected to save businesses at the Peel Business Park up to 30% in electricity costs as compared to regular tariffs. And the state-of-the-art food initiative precinct delivered by the Shire of Murray and made possible by the government's Regional Growth Fund. The precinct will allow growers, producers and industrial leaders to network, undertake commercial research and development, and market test prototypes and products derived from Western Australian produce. So these things are good. I'd really love to see how effective this is. I'm not a big fan of renewables, like I said in an earlier segment. We just don't have the technology yet. It's good to do little things like this as an experiment to see where the shortfalls are when you make it bigger and go statewide. But I'd like to see more research put into renewables rather than constructing things that are extremely expensive and not very efficient. So we'll just quickly jump over the comments. This is from Tony Booty. Peel Business Park is really going to be a powerhouse of the Peel region for economic growth and jobs, with a focus on creating opportunities through industry. The business park is a game changer for Western Australian agri-innovation industry, transport and logistics. It's a great example of the work the Industrial Lands Authority does in supplying strategically located industrial land to support Western Australian economic prosperity. Now, okay. So this is a comment from the Regional Development Minister, Alana McTiernan. With the opportunity to tailor lot sizes in stage 2, forward-thinking investors, businesses and developers have a chance to get in on the ground floor of the Peel region development and position themselves to be part of the growth. This really is a rare opportunity in the gateway to the Peel agricultural region, with the ability to secure development approvals prior to titles. That's another really important thing, because let's say you have an idea for a business, you start putting it all together, you get it all done, you do all the back end, and a lot of times getting a business set up is actually quite an expensive process. So if you get all the way to the end, your business is ready to go, and then the local council goes, no, you're not getting approval for that, all that money's just gone to waste. And that's a big deterrent for, especially in innovative businesses that are new to market or new developments. If you know you can't get a location required for your business or your idea, you won't try. So knowing that you can get the approvals prior to putting the business together, that's very, very important. And like you said, being able to tailor your premise to your business will help you survive a lot better when times are hard, because it will be more efficient. Your workflow will be just more efficient, and the businesses will be better and will be more likely to succeed. So, I still can't believe we've been getting comments today. That's awesome. So, guys and girls who have been listening into this stream, thank you very much. I'm going to have to call this one for today because it is now 2:21 and there's 2 little girls at school that need to be picked up. So I'm going to have to bail early. So if you do have any questions, make sure you reach out to us, or there's any articles you want me to do a reaction on. So Carter's Corner Daily is out 1:30 WA time every day, Monday through Friday. If there's any special events over the weekends, we'll jump onto that. Now, on a side note, I have to give a big shout out to the Civilizationalists. They had a seminar. It was sort of like a lecture series last night, which I got to speak at one. As a lot of you guys are aware, I used to have a radio show on 89.7 FM, which got cancelled because of a couple of articles from the Channel 7. I still maintain Channel 7 were lying through their teeth, and it is now in the hands of the ACMA whether they'll investigate or not. So they asked me to talk about what happened on that one. It was phenomenal. I really, really, really wanted to thank them for putting on the show. The other 2 guest speakers were phenomenal, like heaps of information. It was just a brilliant presentation, and a big shout out to Belmont RSL for hosting them. So thank you very much for that. So if you can, you find them on the Facebook, social media side of things. The Civilizationalists, give them a like and a support. Also the Belmont RSL, give them a like, share, thumbs up. Now, as for my own social medias, so Facebook, Carter's Corner, YouTube, Carter's Corner, Twitch, only for Teamo 1983. That will be getting changed shortly to Carter's Corner. And like I said, send us a message, email, or a PM if there's any articles you would like us to cover. So thank you very much, and we'll talk soon. It's been Travis Carter for Carter's Corner Daily.